Welcome back. Today on our Boston Whaler project, we're going to be installing the steering rod on our Mercury Sea Pro 115. We're going to be using a cable steering. I could have gone ahead. I know that the hydraulic steering systems are a lot cheaper lately than before, and you could get a nice whole setup. But I've always been, especially on smaller engine, old-fashioned. I kind of like the cable steering and mind the maintenance on it a little less as long as you maintain it. Anyway, there are two types of steering rods. Actually, there are more types, but this one, the two that I have, one has this angle here and the other one is straight. The main thing when you're installing the cable rod, the steering rod actually, is to make sure that both sides, if one side of the motor tongue is higher than where the rod attaches to the cable, that they're not at an angle. Because if they're at an angle, let's say more this way, if it's at an angle like this down, the cable is going to rub inside the steering tube, and that's going to lead to damage and possibly a breakdown, wear and tear. So you got to make sure it's even, that if the push rod is, let's say, up here and the cable's here and it's even. One of the ways you're going to know that is that when you're putting this part in to the steering cable, if it gets stuck and doesn't slide correctly to, let's say, the last section here or where the washers are, then it means that it's at an angle and it's not straight. So that's why I have washers actually here, and the washers are used to make sure that it doesn't go beyond this point on the steering cable, because when it does, it's gonna be at an angle, it's gonna be stuck, and it's gonna either force the cable up or down. And when it does that, it's just going to rub as you turn the boat, and with time that's going to lead to wear and tear. The tools we need are really just a wrench, like I said, a little grease would help to put there in case you have to remove it in the future. And the lock nuts are pressure lock nuts are very important. This is one part you don't want to come loose on your boat, and that's basically it. I'm going to be showing you step by step how we went ahead and installed it on our project boat. Let's start by removing both of the nuts. Put that on that side. This is the part that goes on the outboard tongue. Make sure this insert here stays inside and doesn't fall out. Put the lock nut there. I'll start by screwing this one in. Make sure you put it in by hand first. You don't want to mess up that thread, and once you have it, it should just go down pretty easily. Obviously I have it sideways there. There we go. That's, as you can see, oops, there goes my wrench. Anyway, it should, once you have it right, it should go down very easily. Make sure you have a washer up here. There we go. Give it a nice tighten. Once it's tightened, you'll see it still can move freely. Now we're gonna get the nut, the pressure nut, nylon lock, and put it at the bottom. Oh, that's gonna there we go. Again, until you get to the nylon lock part, should go in pretty easily. Then you just get the wrench and tighten it back. it's important to put this nylon pressure nut at the bottom, therefore you have double security on this part. You really don't want this to come off. Alright, they're both tight, and as you can see, still moves around perfectly. We're now going to attach it to the steering rod. You might have to push the engine a little this way or steer the rod out a little bit. All I did was move the steering wheel and it'll go either way. Now, as you can see, it goes in freely, but once it gets past that point, it's getting stuck. That means that if it's getting stuck, it's losing the angle. So as long as you have enough thread at the bottom, there's where we could come in with our washers. I've even added another pressure lock washer just in case. Therefore, now when we go in, see how smooth and easily it goes in, it doesn't get stuck. That means the angle is fine. And see, you can still move this and it's not stuck. And you have plenty of thread for the pressure lock nut to grab. I'm just going to put it back in till it gets to that pressure part, which is right there. Then we're going to grab this and finish tightening. And this side you're going to have two pressure lock wash. Actually, you're going to have the nylon on the nut itself and an actual lock washer on top. As you can see, it's nice and snug, but you have movement in the actual steering bar, tie rod, and that means that the cable is free. It's not being pulled up or down and rubbing. Now I'm going to turn the steering wheel and see how well it turns our motor. In that position, it shouldn't be that easily. I mean, it's doing a lot of force since it's tilted, but we should be able to move it without a problem. Well, that's pretty much how you put the steering tie rod and make sure that it's not rubbing. And as you can see, the motor steered perfectly. It's not as easy as a hydraulic steering, but it really wasn't that difficult at all. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found it helpful and know somebody doing a project, please share it with them. Remember, I'm always wishing you the best, and one love.